All right, Nvidia is launching a modified version of its advanced gaming chip that complies with U.S. export controls targeting China. This is the first China-focused chip for the company since the Biden administration put those export rules into effect back in October. Nvidia currently holds more than 90% market share of China's $7 billion AI chip market and is poised to close the year above $1 trillion market cap for the first time ever. And Brad, this issue with China was a key risk. We just highlighted. We did our special Nvidia coverage, 48 hours ago, whatever it was. You can go see that content out there. And there it is. That was our original graphic, and they just put a line right through it. So that is the ugly being removed off that chart. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Nvidia's upcoming earnings results are going to show significant acceleration in China quarter over quarter because of this issue. It will probably take a couple quarters before those China results to stabilize. But again, good to see Nvidia, good for Nvidia to be addressing this. And I think another issue or another thing why this will feed into the Nvidia bull narrative.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive. You think about the international ambitions and really retaining some of those customers internationally. That is key for Nvidia and for investors to see in terms of the margin growth expectations at this point. The second we see any type of deceleration in that margin growth as tied to the AI part of its chip business here, and for everything that we've heard over the course of the year for GDX Cloud and what that's going to mean for Nvidia in the future, it could still signal to investors that deceleration, if they were to see that in the margin growth side, that all right, now we must take some profits. Now we must reassess what an actual multiple looks like going forward from here. And so I think it's great that Nvidia has been able to very diligently, and more so than the rest of the market, get ahead of how everyone else is thinking about artificial intelligence and put that at the top of investors' minds, both early in the year in Q1 and now, once again, essentially to wrap up the year in Q4.
I don't want to make us sound like we're Nvidia hype wagons here.
No.
And so I want to bring up something by Matt Malley. He will be on the show a little bit later on, but Matt's sending his note over to me this morning, noting this, and I think it's very important here, noting that Nvidia, of course, one of the best performing stocks of the market this year, but pointing out the vast majority of its gains came in the first 6.5 months of the year. Since mid-July, Nvidia's stock is only, quote Matt, only up 4.2% and really sits at the same level where it did on Labor Day week. And you can see that really come to life in that Yahoo Finance chart right there. Perhaps the market really waiting to be blown away again on all things Nvidia.
It's just a Goldilocks situation that they have to deliver upon quarter after quarter now, or with any announcement that they put forward. And so some of the risk, let's not entirely take the China risk off the table, because one of the other elements that we had talked about with Nvidia earlier this week was the fact that if they're going to continue selling into China, then they perhaps have some exposure in a general election year next year, as there's going to be so much vitriolic talk about which companies are selling into which regions, how they're able to satisfy all parties involved. And I think that's going to be perhaps one of the larger political punching bags, especially given the chips front and the importance of the Biden administration kind of placing more spending on that too recently.
Yeah, right on, Brad. Of course, that $500 level on Nvidia, the upside resistance point.